You know, that wasn't an All-Ireland winning performance.
Probably should have won the game based on their second half performance.
Is it a step too far to say it was the performance so far of the World Cup? Maybe not.
OTBAN's performance rankings with Gillette.
I'm scratching my head at performances which just lack that intensity.
We obviously use a traffic light system. Red, bad. Amber, not sure. Could have gone either way. And then green is obviously good. Richard Redball says Man United won the second half 3-2. Surely enough to put them in the orange, Johnny. Surely enough.
Unfortunately not. Where do we start here?
You start with
okay, I was keen to put Liverpool in here as well, because I think Manchester United came up against a force like in Haaland that I don't know if we've ever seen this before. He's like really good strikers essentially on steroids, like as in, and that I don't mean he's on drugs. He's like he just has everything.
Metaphorically. The lawyers were like, what do you say?
He's
metaphorically, you mean?
I watched Match Today last night, just almost like not knowing when, a rough idea of when the goals were going to come in, but City had so many chances that a lot of the first half were spent like on things that didn't end up in a goal. His movement in the box and his ability to create that little yard, but he's also his general play yesterday, setting up Foden for the goal, little flick to Grealish in the first half. It's amazing to watch, and I put in Liverpool as well because I felt like Liverpool are in a worse place than Man United in some respects at the moment, because it's all well and good being battered by possibly the greatest team ever, but like being 2-0 down after no time at all against Brighton and coughing up 3 goals at home and looking like a team that just has no energy anymore 7 games into the season. I thought Liverpool have serious problems. So
it did feel like they were going to take the international break to get right. And that this was going to be an opportunity for them to slingshot back into this part of the season, which is a mad dash to the World Cup, and then just still be in touch after the World Cup was over. But didn't happen.
No goal for Salah again, and Brighton. Brighton possibly deserved to win the game on XG, and I'm just looking at it, Jerry. Like they beat Bournemouth, but apart from that, they've 7 points from 6 games. Probably in a battle for the top 4 at the moment, I think. As for Man United, I don't know, where do we start? I've some sympathy for them because I think they met a Man City in impeccably good form yesterday.
Haaland's the best player the Premier League has ever seen, says Eamon Dunphy. For once,
he's probably right.
For once, being completely over the top about something, it's like maybe he's understating it.
3 successive home game hat-tricks is just, what is going on here? And you're now watching Man City to see what Haaland and De Bruyne and the lads will do, as opposed to have any interest in the scoreline.
Maybe this is the thing that Steven Gerrard can cling to. His team were the one who kept Haaland to a single goal.
Yeah.
But obviously that was at Villa Park instead of... we folded like a pack of cards, Erik ten Hag.
He did make the point now, and
we were not brave enough, Erik ten Hag. Bottle jobs. That's what Keane and Neville were saying. Bottle jobs.
Ten Hag made the point afterwards for the first Man City goal, and this isn't, you don't talk about this in terms of XG or chances, but Man United had an amazing 3v2 break situation where they were pressing quite high, started quite well, and they had a great 3v2 situation just in the City half, coughed up the ball very cheaply, and City scored then. And
now there had been 3 goal-mouth scrambles and a booking before that I know what you mean.
Yeah, it would have been vaguely interesting if they gotten the first goal, but they did fall apart then.
Yeah, the first goal was definitely coming. Wrecking Hal is the Stars.
Well, it's trial and terror on the front page there. Like the terror word comes to mind when, if you're a defender and you're 1-0 down against Man City and you're trying to deal with Haaland.
Unacceptable. United so bad Ten Hag kept Ron on bench to spare his blushes.
That was an interesting one. He said that what was the point bringing him on? I have too much respect for him. I can kind of see where he's coming from. It's like, he's probably going to... What's the point bringing him on? If you're trying to save his...
Don't say it. You're
trying to save his minutes.
What's he doing? What's he saying that for? What's the point of that?
Well, what's the point bringing on a player that you're trying to get?
Well, I don't tell you,
you're going to use him sparingly.
He's too fragile.
The game was over.
Oh, his little fragile ego can't take coming on in a game that's already over. Oh, it's terrible for him, poor Ronaldo. Why are we paying him 400 grand a week or whatever it is?
Yeah,
highest paid player at the club. What? We can't use him. Can't use him in this situation. Can't use him at the start of the game. Situation's not right. Can't use him in the middle of the game. Situation's not right. Can't use him. What's he talking about? Just say nothing.
But he was probably asked. I mean, so what's he supposed to say? No, we didn't bring him on because I don't want to talk about Ronaldo.
Minutes. And then he does say Martial needed minutes, but I don't want to talk about that. He says.
What's the point bringing on a 37-year-old in a dead game?
I don't know.
He is bringing him on in games.
I can't bring him on because, out of respect to his great career.
He's managing the message there.
Well, like, to who? To Ronaldo? Oh,
so.
I'm saving your blushes. Maybe he thought I couldn't bring him on because he's completely useless. He's shot. He's a spent force.
I think we should give Ten Hag a bit of credit, though, in the sense of they've had a better season than Liverpool so far after a terrible, terrible start. And if I were a Liverpool fan, I'd nearly be more worried this morning because they lost to Man City, who were... I was thinking of this morning, Ger. If Liverpool played Man City tomorrow night, you'd be really, really bricking it as a Liverpool fan. Like, they could absolutely hammer them. Like, they really could. So it's not... Like, fair enough, we have Man United in the red, but Ten Hag has done a good job. He's so much to deal with there in terms of the egos. They have gotten their defence... Their midfield was obliterated yesterday by all accounts. And that, that exposed to an extent that maybe they need to make some changes there. But he's done a good job so far.
Not picking Casemiro is interesting.
Well, by all accounts, didn't do well when he came on. He's barely played.
I don't really understand... what was the point of spending all that money on him? I don't know. It seems odd if he's... Again, it felt like after the international break, he'll be in the team because that's what's going to happen. But no, Scott McTominay. I don't know. I'm still playing McTominay. I don't really understand.
Yeah, but McTominay is playing well for Man United this season.
Well, he wasn't very good on... he's playing...
Yesterday, my attitude this game on Saturday was they'll try to soak up pressure and hit a fairly creaky defence on the break, see what happens. It's going to be an entertaining game. They have a chance. That didn't happen. But the philosophy would have been to play two sitting midfielders and see if we can hit them on the break. But like this was a whirlwind for Man City. You're kind of out of the game before you even know it.
Are you buying the Roy Keane that Manchester United are disrespecting Ronaldo by not playing him?
I think like Roy Keane is ridiculous on Ronaldo, where he's talking about like he scores all these goals and the system and all that. Like Ronaldo's clearly an anachronism at this stage, in that and you can even see he's slowing down further, obviously, which he should be doing. You can't fit him into a team that has any sort of a press now. And Man United have aspirations to finish in the top four. Like Ronaldo's. He's a problem in a team like that, and he was a problem last season. And my issue with Ronaldo was throughout all of last season, all Man United's other offensive players were playing terrible around him. I don't know why, but they were playing terribly badly with Ronaldo on the team. Man United have had a decent start to the season, all told, so we shouldn't get too carried away with yesterday. Liverpool,
on Micah Richards' side of the debate there. And Keane was like, well, he never had any problems playing with top-class strikers.
But like, Roy Keane isn't managing at the moment. Like, so it's easy to say these things and go back to his playing days. But like, if you're a coach now at the modern game, Ronaldo's a massive problem. A, because of his ego, and B, because he's 37 and he can't really move anymore. Certainly not off the ball.
I agree with you. I don't see any reason to put him in. And the answer from Ten Hag is, well, what difference was it going to make? The game was gone at that stage, so we're resting him, as opposed to I'm protecting his great career. He doesn't want to be on the pitch to have that on his resume. It's like, well, it is on his resume. He's in the matchday squad. He wasn't good enough to get in that team that got hammered. It's not sparing his blushes. That's just all a bit weird, I think, and it's all a bit circular. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a misstep from Ten Hag, to be honest. But
perhaps we'll see how we go from here. But he seems to have managed he and Maguire quite well, namely by not playing them.
JP Wright says United's awful performance has taken the limelight off Liverpool's terrible defence and Anfield failures. Newcastle for fourth. Been saying this for a while now.
Well, the battle for fourth for Man United, for Liverpool is real. It's real. Yeah. It is real.
I mean, the Man United fans in the office still think Manchester United are going to finish in the top four, so we'll see. Liverpool's next two league games are Arsenal and City. They could be in the horrors by Halloween.
Wow. Because Arsenal, we haven't mentioned yet, obviously. You need a good Netflix doc to get yourself... Was it on Netflix? What was it on the Arsenal documentary? You need a good documentary to get your team going again. The Etihad... the Etihad... Well, we'll talk about that maybe as well. But Arsenal actually seem to have a bit of a vibrancy about them again. There's a real atmosphere in the games. Xhaka's playing like a player... totally reformed, and they are top of the table.
All right.
And they beat Spurs, who fell apart as well.
You love some Arsenal at the moment. That what you're saying? They're your new team for the rest of the year?
Well, I think we haven't mentioned them yet. They are top of the table. They've had an amazing start.
All right. The Man United and Liverpool both in the red. Also in the red for us this morning, Christophe Soumillon.
Christophe Soumillon, if you're not a racing fan, I think this was something that would have caught your attention. He was riding on Friday in Longchamp, and so
roll it there, Roisin.
Here we go.
We can have a look at that, can we? Yeah. So explain what's happening here. You tell us what's going to happen.
So Soumillon is coming out to
Back
the right.
left.
I mean, can we actually just show this again? So watch the two horses to the left, the extreme left of the picture, who are at the back.
They're at the very back of the field as well. I don't really understand.
This isn't even. It's not even.
Where are we here?
So right at the back. So it's happened now. If we can play it one more time, Roisin. Right at the back of the field. Watch it. Right at the back. Watch that.
Okay, there's people listening on the radio.
So
there's a guy in purple who's Soumillon, and there's a guy in white who is the Irish jockey.
Ross Ryan. Soumillon is obviously riding a Saint-Cloud. He's a Belgian rider, but France is his home territory. He literally elbows the jockey out of the way. Ross Ryan out of the way. Ross Ryan came wide around Soumillon.
This is on the flat.
On the flat. So you're riding at 35, 40 miles an hour here, and he literally just elbows. Ross Ryan was probably in a slightly uncomfortable position in terms of his stirrups, but he literally just elbowed him out of the saddle. I've never seen anything like this. Now, it's one of these things you expect to see from one of these small racing jurisdictions that pops up on Twitter sometimes. This is France. Soumillon's one of the greatest jockeys in the world.
So just explain that, because people would be vaguely familiar with the name, but he's at the very elite.
Very elite. Best jockey in France for a long time. Rides for the Aga Khan, rode the likes of Zarkava, has a great relationship with the Aga Khan. He's, I don't know, where would you rank him in terms of European jockeys? Certainly one of the best, and the best jockey in France for years. Like Zarkava's gone back, we're going back years here, and he has been the best. He's getting to the kind of more senior stage of his career here. Ross Ryan is a young jockey, but to make a long story short, he got a 2-month ban, but he was still allowed to ride a Longchamp over the weekend because the ban doesn't come in straight away. The French Gallop said we're not really happy with this, but he finished second in the Arc yesterday for the Aga Khan on Vadini, and nearly won it.
You do this one day and then you ride the next day, and
and is 2 months enough? I mean, this is so recklessly dangerous.
Why, just as a matter of interest, any idea why a ban handed down doesn't kick in straight away?
It's not. Yeah, it's not. It's not like sport where, and there is a right of appeal as well. And I'm not sure when the ban actually clicks in, but French Gallop says there's nothing we can do about this. He's meeting the Aga Khan's daughter today, who's representing the Aga Khan. To me, it sounds like he's going to get the sack. But racing fans out there, what was the right punishment for this? Because you're endangering someone's life here. Like, this is so serious. It's
it should be a criminal offence.
It's literally like it's like being in the back of a car, and I'm not messing here. It's like being in the back of a car going around 40 miles an hour, opening the door and just chucking a fella out of it. Like, it's not. And at least if you did that in the back of a car, there's a moment where you know this is happening. Yeah. Ross Ryan, like, how can you expect something like this? And for Soumillon,
did he have any explanation for it? Like, they're at the back of the field. It's not going to have an impact on the outcome.
He did make a kind of a grovelling apology, and I do wonder in cases like this where we saw an instance with Paul Hannigan at Royal Ascot where he rode very dangerously as well, nothing compared to this. But if you go into the weighing room after an incident like this, how are you treated by other jockeys, and how will Soumillon be treated going forward? Because I think this is quite unforgivable, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, so that's the two in the red. We've got to fly through these now. In the amber, you've got Ulster.
Ulster is orange, or amber in this case. Obviously more Catholics than Protestants from in Northern Ireland these days, but it's an interesting time in Northern Ireland.
Ireland and for each and every a piece, is that what you're saying?
Ireland and for each and every a piece. Ulster Rugby, on the other hand, my mate is a Glentoran fan, and he was texting me photos of the Oval whilst the Ulster game was going on. They had to call the game off; it was so wet. Literally, the pitch became unplayable. So the Oval was called off. The Ulster game obviously played in terrible conditions. Leinster just started very well. Ulster rallied. They've had a good start to the season, and we'll obviously talk about this a bit later on. But at least they rallied and could have forced a result.
I could have forced a result. Dan McFarland afterwards was pretty dismissive, though, said that Leinster were definitely better. Now, Leinster were getting a lot of credit for managing the game, but we're a bit fortunate. That TMO decision, there's definitely a part of you that goes, he still has downward pressure.
Yeah.
And the hand is like, there's a fingertip on it. It could have gone either way. and then it would have been very interesting to see what happened. So
Why have Leinster had 2 second-half collapses already is interesting as well. If not a collapse, like they're kind of riding their luck a little bit.
or it's complacency has set in, and they're like not that jazzed by the fact this is early season URC when they know that they're going to qualify for the knockout stages of the URC guaranteed, and their holy grail this season is the fifth star for Lancaster on his way. I don't know. It is interesting, and let's wait and see exactly how well. After the game, Leo Cullen was singing the praises of Jason Jenkins, the South African beefy second row that they've added, who was at Munster but never played last season. So we'll see. We're going to talk with Quinny about that a little bit later on. Andy Moran is in the green.
Andy Moran, yeah. I mean, what a guy. He's just finished up his playing career at the weekend for the club. I will always recall that he's one of the few inter-county footballers that I played with at any sport, and I played underage soccer with him and played against him when he was playing for, God, I hope Andy could correct me on this now. What was his club team? He was probably playing for Ballahadreen. There were a few clubs that kind of came and
Soccer club.
Yeah, went around the time. He was a lovely soccer player, though. You could tell he'd a real eye for a pass, and I'd say he could have definitely made it at League of Ireland level if he were that way inclined. But had the last game for the club. What did he get? 3-3 at the weekend.
3-3 in a relegation playoff.
In a relegation playoff, and obviously now known for his fledgling inter-county managerial.
Why is
career.
he retiring though? Is that not the type of thing where you score 3-3 like next year? Like it's just I'm not doing the pre-season, but I'll come back for the games surely.
Yeah.
Like just one last time. You never really retire from the club, do you?
Yeah.
It's always like, come on.
Kind of got to give your commitment to Leitrim, I guess, but he's one of those guys you do wish that he'd won an All-Ireland for Mayo because of, like, Andy's I think he's an interesting study because he wasn't quick. He looked, as he was getting older, how is this lad going to manage at inter-county football level? But he was just so much upstairs in terms of his football brain that he was able to have that longevity in his career, and definitely wish him all the best.
Yeah, I just while we're doing this, I'm going to have a little quick shout out to Mossy Quinn, who was sticking them in for Vincent's at the weekend, also guaranteeing senior football next year. So
what age is Mossy now?
I don't want to libel him, but I'd be happy to suggest he's 40. Is he 40? I don't know.
He was referenced in the death of Brian Mullins as well, where Mossy put up a tweet saying I actually like this now. He was like, during lockdown, I was kind of struggling for motivation, and Brian essentially sent me back a photo. It was like 7 a.m, and he was lifting weights. If you can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. There's a load of those stories where just the relentless positivity of Brian Mullins had an impact in people's lives, and
I don't think relentless positivity would encapsulate Brian Mullins. I didn't know the man, but I know what you mean.
Well, but actually, anytime you met him, you came away thinking, I feel better about life now. This guy is like instilling me with.
Are you talking personally?
Yeah, totally, yeah.
I never met him. No.
Totally different.
What was he like in terms of if you met him at a conference or a game or just this positive sort of attitude?
Oh, totally, yeah, and like full of stories, like full of I have this thing that's interesting that you're going to be interested in, and then just kind of like happy to impart knowledge and wisdom, and always like slightly devious. Philly McMahon told a story as well about playing Vincent's Ballymun would have been one of the great rivalries of the last decade or so, and it's faded a bit now, but they were literally knocking lumps out of each other again and again and again. And he tells a story of, he's played a game against Vincent's and he's getting abuse from an umpire, and he turns around, it's Brian Mullins, and he's just winding him up. Vincent Hogan has a great piece today.
He does.
And so Vincent would have been young enough, I think, starting out, but anyway, had a relationship with Mullins over the years about stuff. He'd gone to Carndonagh in Donegal, where he was the school principal, to kind of do a feature piece on him. But then in latter years, when he moved down to UCD, Vincent would play five-side football sometimes, and Mullins would come and just watch, and again give them abuse from the sidelines, going, look at the quality of this. Apparently he was an amazing soccer player himself, and a rugby player who played for Leinster under-20s and the same team as John Robbie, who went on to play for Ireland and now lives in South Africa. The same weekend that he made his debut for the Dubs, scored a try from the second row. So like a phenomenal gifted sportsman, but also like just a great person.
And you know, it's kind of you look at the mad moments in life. Like Brian Mullins was taken very early, but like, I didn't realise the extent of the car crash that he was in like, was that the early 80s, where he very nearly could have been killed, and came back from that, and by all accounts wasn't quite physically the same, but still managed to win All Ireland with Dublin in '83. Obviously the 12 Apostles, and could have even been better apart from that car crash, but also could have been tragically killed much earlier in his life, and came back. And I found some of the stories fascinating. Kevin Moran coming into the Dublin dressing room and being a bit intimidated and being sort of told, don't sit here, don't sit there, and Mullins just taking him by the hand and saying, sit beside me, you'll be grand. And Mullins was 21 at the time. Some great stories, and very, very sad, as I think it was Colm O'Rourke wrote about yesterday in Sunday Independent, that, you know, this guy who seemed totally indestructible is taken in his 60s.
Yeah, no, far too young. Right, Arsenal are in the green. We'll talk about Arsenal properly a little bit later on. Is there anything you've already said that you think Arsenal are the real deal? Why don't you marry them, basically?
I didn't quite say that, but in fairness to Arteta, he signed very well, and you know, a lot's been made of Haaland signed as the number 9, but Jesus has done wonders at Arsenal. And interestingly for Spurs, this looked like a problem earlier in the season, particularly in the Chelsea game when Chelsea looked very good. Spurs have midfield problems where if their strikers aren't on a going day, and it didn't look like they really were on Saturday, they're just overrun in midfield at times, and Arsenal were very, very good. And Arsenal-Liverpool is going to be interesting, Ger.
It will be.
Next game.
Yeah. All right, that is it. That's this week's Gillette House Performance Rankings.
OTBAN's Performance Rankings with Gillette.